was right about the shoe. The shoe was not the same in the picture in court as the shoe pulled from the evidence bag by Trooper Bukakei.
And you mentioned you're at the hospital. There was a sneaker. One.
Yes.
Bukakei! Bukakei!
Woo! Good evening, friends. Bro. Dude, that fucking Connor McManus fucking intro, dude, that shit fucking slaps, bro. Like, there's this one part. I'm not even trying to lie. Like, there's this one part. I can't even believe that's AI, dude, because there's like one part of it where I'm just like, fucking metal. And I don't even like metal all that much, but what I love about metal, I really love the essence of metal sometimes. And that shit actually has like what I love about metal, like it just fucking really just nasty, just right? Like what the fuck are you even talking about? Look, I'll even tell you right now. Like some of you people who like metal know exactly what I'm talking about. Hold on. Look at this part right here. Hold on. Where? Right here. Right there. Right here. Here we go. It's so good, bro. One more time. Listen to that break it down right there. This break it down right here is the shit. Like that's what we used to call it when we would write songs. We were like, well, we got to throw a break it down in there. Where's the break it down going to be? When you there's got to be a break it down like right there. This is the break it down right here. You ready? Ready? It melts your brain, bro. the brain melter. Okay. Anyway, long live the break it down, bro. I agree 100%. The break it down is amazing. Welcome everybody. It's great to see you guys. I hope everyone's having a wonderful week so far. It is the beginning of the week. Sorry I was late. I'm on my way down here, and a neighbor is like, "Oh my God, did you know that there's a storm coming this weekend?" No. Oh my God, it's a storm coming this weekend. They're telling everybody they got. I'm like, it's Tuesday, but okay. Like, you know, like I got one of these. They would have let me know. Pretty sure I'd have figured it out. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm just kidding. That's not why I was late. It's not really why I was late. Oh my God.
Oh, here we go.
I think we got a super cat. Super cat. I think we got a super cat. Super cat. Super cat. Super cat. I think we got a super cat.
How dare you?
Amy Alamo, thank you so much. The intro is very primal. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Very, very primal. The break it down. Yeah, I mean, whatever. If a storm comes, a storm comes. I guess if I don't have internet, then I can't stream. You know? But I doubt it's going to be a hurricane, so I'm sure it'll be fine. Anyway. Yes, that is the part where the circle pit forms. That's the part where the circle pit actually forms. Circle pits will start to form, and then the real circle pitters are just standing around getting shoved around. And then that bang comes on, and then they like start doing windmills and shit. And then they fucking do crazy shit in the pit. Those are those fucking snobs. Anyway, so yeah, man, fun stuff today. We're gonna go over a couple of things that are amazing, because they're fucking amazing. So Brian Higgins was interviewed by Bukakei, and for some reason we didn't know about it. Interesting. But and he was never even asked about the waterfall behavior. I'm going to read Aiden's article on this. And we're going to do some fun stuff. We're going to go over we're going to go over Microdots' last Michael Proctor video. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. But before we do all that, we're going to go over this article here, because Aiden's going Hollywood, bro. Okay. What's up, Mazza? It's good to see you, buddy. There's definitely some interesting stuff here. There's a magazine called Deadline, I guess, and they wrote an article with the information that has not been public in regards to the upcoming Turtleboy documentary and movie that is both connected together. The documentary will serve, I'm guessing, as basically a way to sell the movie. So, and there's some interesting names attached to this, both documentary and movie. So I can't imagine how this is not going to be one of the funnest things to watch. So I'm going to go ahead and read the article here, the Deadline article, which we have here. Oh my God. Oh my God, Kimberly, welcome to Logic. Thank you for joining. What's Mazza saying? This is a better day for Bettero. The weekend between the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl. Yeah. Yeah, it's a big deal for the mighty one. I don't know what happened with Kasi in JFK. I have no idea. So, and since yesterday I've gotten a lot of new subscribers. I want to say thank you to all of you new subscribers, or should I say subscribers who were subscribed and then unsubscribed and have resubscribed. Welcome back. You know who you are. You know who you are. Don't worry, I'm not going to embarrass you. But we've been here the whole time. Okay? We've been here the whole time. And I was right. It's okay. It's totally okay. Kippy Hippie, welcome to Logic. Thank you so much for joining. Right. That's why I don't really give a shit about sub count anymore, is like because of that, honestly. That's why I stopped worrying about it. Because, you know, like what I care about are those who have been here. You know, I don't with the whole, you know, changing with the weather kind of thing that you fucking people do sometimes. I'm not with it. So that's how I feel. That's honestly how I feel. We've been here the whole time and we've been doing the same thing the whole time. And then, you know, all of a sudden, oh my God, Melanie Little agreed with the glare. Oh, well then, you know, my brain, my lack of independent thought has now kicked in. So yeah, it's like, I'm glad you're back, but whatever. So let me go ahead and read this here. You want to listen to the article? We can listen to the article. It's probably better. Let's listen.
Compelling Pictures sets docuseries and feature on a Turtleboy blogger tied to Karen Red murder case. Exclusive, Compelling Pictures, the production and financing outfit behind TriStar's Whitney Houston biopic I Wanna Dance with Somebody, has secured the exclusive rights to tell the twisty true story of Aidan Turtleboy Kearney, a key figure in the explosive murder mystery that found Karen Reed twice on trial for the death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. Now I have to re-watch, and I don't think I'm going to play it. I think I'm just going to read the rest because that's annoying. I now have to watch the story of Whitney Houston, and it's not because of any reason that I hadn't watched the Whitney Houston biopic. It's not for any particular reason whatsoever, other than like, if you've seen one biopic, you've seen them all. Like I've been alive during all of Whitney Houston's fame. It happened in my lifetime. I watched it happen. I experienced it. Like, okay, well, I'm really popular. I sing great. This is how I just chalked up her life. I really did.
Like, okay, I'm really popular. I sing great. I married another very popular music artist named Bobby Brown. He was a crackhead. I started smoking crack. I died. He remained famous and kept on, and that's my life. That's kind of how I looked at Whitney Houston's biopic. I'm like, I don't need a biopic to tell me that. Like, I've seen the story a million times. What's up, Bob? Defense Diaries podcast is in the house right now, folks. So yeah, man, I wasn't interested, but now I'll check it out just for the like sheer quality of the film. Now I'm just, now I want to watch it just for the sheer quality of the film to see. And even though these are just the producers, everything like this is all pre-production. I haven't seen a name of a director yet. I haven't read the article yet, but I haven't seen the name of a director dropped yet. Just producers and executive producers, which is basically everybody putting up money and stands to make money off of the movie. That's it. So that's what producer and executive producer means. Basically, anybody who stands to make money off of the movie. People who are putting the movie together. To be made. So accused and eventually acquitted of killing John O'Keefe by hitting him with her car in Canton, Massachusetts in January 2022. Reed was recently depicted in a Lifetime movie and HBO Max docuseries, but up until now, Carney has never given his side of the story from the perspective of a dogged online journalist who became consumed with championing the innocence of a woman he felt had been railroaded by nefarious players with the local Massachusetts law enforcement community, as well as the nasty, disgusting fucking McAlberts. Carney is a former teacher and boys varsity track coach, based in Massachusetts, who began blogging as a hobby before seeing his work turn into something much more high profile. Widely known by the name Turtleboy, he rose to prominence through his confrontational anti-establishment style of online journalism as the founder and primary voice behind the Turtleboy sports blog. At first focused just on sports and local culture, the blog later became heavily focused on politics, crime, media criticism, and what he has characterized as government and institutional corruption. Carney got involved with Reed's case after writing about multiple instances of alleged misconduct by the Massachusetts State Police. When the high-profile local criminal case of Commonwealth versus Karen Reed came to his attention, he came to believe Reed was framed for murder, organizing protests on her behalf. Reed's first trial in 2024 ended without a verdict when jurors were unable to reach a unanimous decision. Subsequently, in 2025, she was found not guilty of second-degree murder and manslaughter in the death of John O'Keefe, though she was found guilty of the lesser charge of operating a vehicle under the influence and sentenced to 1 year of probation. In the aftermath of this case, Rachel Rollins, former United States Attorney for Massachusetts, praised Carney for his advocacy on the social media platform X, writing, "His relentless reporting in the face of repeatedly being told by law enforcement that he was wrong and there was nothing to see here, cracked this case wide open." Whoever wrote this article is totally a turtle writer. Carney did, however, pay a price for his unconventional reporting. The rough-edged and acerbic firebrand was arrested and charged in 2023 with witness tampering, conspiracy, and picketing a witness. I can't get over that. As a result of the peaceful protests he participated in, which he believes falls under the umbrella of free speech. After being released on bail, he had it revoked amid allegations that he assaulted a former girlfriend. Carney was released in February 2024, though in 2025, a Massachusetts grand jury added 2 counts of intimidation against him related to an incident involving a trial witness. The tide turned yet again when a judge dismissed 6 counts against him, and he was found not guilty of violating a restraining order obtained by one of his by his one-time girlfriend. One intimidation charge against Carney was dropped this past October, though other cases against him in relation to the Reed trial have or remain active. Excuse me. Carney and Compelling plan a two-pronged approach to telling his side of the story, as they're already in production on a docuseries that tracks Carney and the Turtleboy and the Turtleboy following that has sprung up over the course of Reed's 2 trials. Simultaneously, Compelling is in talks with filmmakers to fast-track a feature film that will take tonal inspiration from unflinching Boston movies like Spotlight, Manchester by the Sea, and Mystic River. Well, that's not the kind of vibe that I want this movie to be at all. Like I really hope, man, like let's just be honest here, because they're talking Spotlight, Manchester by the Sea, and Mystic River. 2 of those movies are just fucking great. Spotlight, Mystic River, great movies, but not the tone that I'm hoping that this movie is going to go. First of all, Mystic River is brilliant, and it's a Clint Eastwood movie. Hey, Kelly Reed, what's up? It's good to see you. It is a Clint Eastwood movie, and it's one of Sean Penn's just best performance in my opinion, and that's hard to put a finger on because like Sean Penn's just fucking easily one of my favorite actors. Great. I wish he shut the fuck up about politics. That's annoying, but he's a great actor. Now, the movie Manchester by the Sea, Jesus Christ. Like, I don't know what the fuck it is with that movie, but it was just as if like the writer was like, okay, the first 20 minutes of this movie is really depressing. Okay, the first couple of acts of this movie are really depressing. How do I make the rest of the movie even more fucking depressing? Like, how do I make this the most fucking depressing movie that anybody has ever fucking seen in the world? I need to kill people, make people sad about those people dying, and then I need to make it sad that those sad people fucking died. That's how I totally looked at Manchester by the Sea when I watched that. I was just like, Jesus fuck! Can anybody in this movie get a break? God damn it. So that never happened. It never fucking happened. It was just tragedy after tragedy in that movie. And I hated that movie. I fucking hated that movie. But I really loved I love Casey Affleck. I think Casey Affleck's great. Everybody says Bill Burr is Turtleboy. I think Bill Burr's too old to play Turtleboy. But we already did the casting and all that. We're not doing that today. So, but yeah, the Manchester by the Sea movie was just awful. Wait a second. Wait.
I think we got a super cat. Super cat. I think we got a super cat. Super cat. Super cat. Super cat. I think we got a super cat. I think we got a super cat. I think we got a super cat.
Thank you so much, Elemino G. Hey, well, this is my first chat. I'm more of a lurker, but just had to say, your eyes are a trip. Love to see you rally behind TB in the First Amendment. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Holy shit, man. Look into my eyes. Look. Look into my eyes. It's mind-blowing, man. They're a trip, man. Oh my God. Brenda sent a $20 Venmo just because. Just because. Now, people, listen. You guys know I love you. You guys know I love you. But I love Nurse Kim even more. And Nurse Kim's going live in 30 minutes. Now, I'm still going to stay live. I'm staying live until like 9. But I got to let y'all know that Nurse Kim's going live in 30 minutes. So if I wasn't live, I'd be over there myself. So I ain't going to be mad at nobody if y'all head over there, you know. But if you guys decide you want to stay here and hang out, that's up to you too. But at least run over there and give Nurse Kim's a like and then catch the replay. At least do that, please. Because Nurse Kim's my homie. Now, all right, listen, nobody asked you all that, Skyview, okay? Nobody asked you all that. Okay, you just fucking go. Okay? And I'll just sit here and cry. No, I'm just kidding. No, seriously, that's awesome. Go fucking check out Kimmy, dude, of course. And then you can come back and catch the replay. That is amazing, of course. Let me continue this article here. Jeff Caligari, I Want to Dance with Somebody, and Dennis O'Sullivan, Bohemian Rhapsody, the Freddie Mercury biopic, will produce the feature and the documentary, with Steven Garcia serving as an executive producer on both projects. Dennis Casale and Matthew Gallagher will also executive produce alongside Garcia and Braden Joe and Mark Braden Joe or Braden Joe or Braden Joe or Mark Chapueta. Chaupeta, co-producing. Okay. All right. People with easy names don't produce movies, I guess. Whatever. On the impetus of taking on these projects, Caligari told us, this story hits close to home. My cousin Brian was John O'Keefe's friend and former partner in the Boston police force. Having followed this case since soon after the tragic incident took place, our aim is to shine a light on until the entire truth is shown. Aiden's perspective on this American tragedy as a citizen and journalist allows the unique opportunity to see it from all angles. We are eager for the audience to follow that through the line to wherever the still emerging facts lead. Now, this is a very, very, very important part of this article, okay? And I'm going to explain why. Titan Uranus. Remember, for 4 months. I'm female and I'll stay here. Okay. Okay. She's female, y'all. I am a woman and I am watching the glare. Hear me roar. Okay, right on. That's really, really sweet. Titan Uranus. And I'm glad you specified that you were a woman, because you know these things are important when a handle named Titan Uranus. I just thought that the planet needed some cleaning up. I thought it was in trouble and it needed some environmental activism and people to get out there with some brooms and start cleaning up. That's all I thought. Just the planet Uranus needed some maintenance. That's all. That's all. Tighten it up. Tighten it up, bro. So this section right here is really important because the trolls love to say that we're fighting for justice for John O'Keefe. All Aiden cares about is the whole free Karen Reed thing. No. Nobody who loved John O'Keefe believes that Karen didn't hit him with that car. Nobody who actually loves John O'Keefe believes that. Nobody does. No, you people are dumb. Sorry, you're dumb because you don't listen to evidence. What this article is telling me is that one of the producers of this movie are focusing their attention on Aiden, on Turtleboy, because John O'Keefe was close to this person. John O'Keefe knew this person. My cousin Brian was John O'Keefe's friend and former partner in the Boston police force. This guy's cousin went out there every day with John O'Keefe to face the streets of Boston. And what that tells me is this guy's like, dude, nah, man, some shit fucking happened here and nobody wants to fucking talk about it. And then this guy's got the balls to get out there and fucking talk about it. And this he's out there asking the right questions. I'm over here asking questions, and this guy's got the balls to get out there and ask those fucking questions. And this is somebody who genuinely is using what he brings to the world to expose the truth. He's going to use that tool that he brings to the world to expose the truth of what happened to Boston police officer John O'Keefe. This, for the producers involved in this Turtleboy movie, their mindset is getting justice for John. So explain that shit, you fucking Kerrigan idiots of the world. You fucking what's your dumb stupid name over there? Fucking you Kim Fairs and fucking Good Time Julie Carpenter's, which hi Julie. Every mean thing I say about you, I don't really mean, you know. Anyway, but yeah, all you people, you guys don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Sitting here talking about, oh, justice for John, justice for John. Like, what are you doing that's more than this? You know what I mean? What are you doing that's more than this? Are you making a movie? No? Like, you know what I would love to see? I'm not even trying to lie. Like, I would love to see the anti-Turtleboy movie. I want to see the movie that makes Turtleboy look like a fucking villain. That shit would be very, very funny to me. That would be so funny to me. I just picture that shit for like 5 minutes. It'd just be so funny. Like, imagine a story where like Kate Peters, the protagonist. I'd never be able to get over that. That would just be so funny. Just have her out there like pretending to be all fucking like somebody, you know? And I'm telling you all right now, Turtleboy is evil and we're going to take him down. We're going to take down Turtleboy, everybody. I need everybody to rally. And then there'd be like this imaginary crowd of people that never happened. Being like, down with Turtleboy! Down with Turtleboy! Hold on, guys. I know I'm the leader of this whole thing, but I'm gonna have to. Oh my god! Oh god! Hold on. Yeah, go ahead with the anti-rolling rally without me. Come on, I'll be right there. Cardi himself said journalism is not a crime. At least it wasn't until I began investigating and writing about the cover-up of John O'Keefe's murder and the subsequent framing of Karen Read. For 15 months, the Commonwealth and the people responsible for John's murder got away with what they were doing because it wasn't getting much attention. That all changed after I started covering the story, which is why I had to be stopped. I look forward to providing new insight and details of my coverage of the case that has never been told before. Industry vets Caligari and O'Sullivan formed Compelling Pictures in 2019 with a Whitney Houston biopic, I Want to Dance with Somebody, as their debut release. Currently, they're in post on the collaboration and adaptation of the 2023 Broadway play starring Paul Bettany as Andy Warhol, and Jeremy Pope as Jean-Michel Basquiat. They're also currently prepping the Emily Blunt-led romance Walk the Blue Fields to be directed by Brooklyn's John Crowley. Okay. Wow. But I could see Paul Bettany as Andy Warhol. Like, I like Paul Bettany, even though he stole my girlfriend Jennifer, whatever the fuck her last name is. I don't like her that much. I done forgot about her because of him. I was like, fuck you then, bitch. Fuck on. But whatever. Out of sight, out of mind, bro. You know what I mean? Not even gonna think about her anymore. Yeah, it is. But yeah. Yeah. No, the truth is I lost all respect to her. I like all respect for her when I saw her at a party and like she was like doing all kinds of weird shit. And then there was some like old dude standing around talking about ass to ass, ass to ass. And then she did it. And I was just like, really? You're just going to do that? You know, like you're just going to be like, okay, ass to ass. You're just going to do that just because that weird guy said it. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I lost all respect for her after that. I wasn't into her anymore. I love how a bunch of you people are like, what the fuck's he even talking about? But yeah, this is a big deal, man. Like, so this is happening. I love how people, Jennifer Connelly, yeah, that's her name. I love how people like are like, what a fucking lie. This is bullshit. And there's no movie. He's just saying this shit because him and Karen aren't getting along and they're making a movie about Karen. Karen's saying that there's no movie now. And I'm bummed about that because I would like to see a movie made of the Karen Reed like perspective, like a real full-length feature film. I can't imagine that that's never going to happen. That's weird. I can see that actually happening very well done, and it would take a long time. Like, again, you'd have to do like a mini series. There'd have to be a whole Turtleboy subplot to it because, again, people, as many times as I've said it, and I will say it many more times, you cannot properly tell the Karen Reed story without telling the Turtleboy story. It cannot be properly done. So, I would like to see that happen. I would like to see great things happen for Karen, and great things are going to happen for Karen. I think we're all going to make sure of it, whether she supports us doing it or not. We're going to make that happen. Fuck that shit, because this is bullshit. Like, I think she got duped, and I think that she was taken advantage of. She was in a sensitive place emotionally, and she was taken advantage of. And now we're seeing the results of it right now. And I hope that those results can be remedied. I believe they can. And I think if we all focus on what actually is important, we can do that collectively. And we can have our community back like we wanted, like we always wanted. And like, you know, the community that we've always loved. Seize the Day became a member. Welcome to Logic. Hold on. I think I missed a super chat, and I feel really bad about that. Yes, Natasha, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate you. So, oh, wait. Phil, thanks. Glera, let's pitch. Manchester by the Sea, the musical starring Swamp Muncher wannabe Nanch. I'm fucking done with you guys, bro. Fuck, I'm taking a nap, dude. I'm going to fucking sleep, dude. Like, I'm fucking done with you guys. You guys fucking hate me, bro. Like, I'm convinced of it. You guys fucking hate me. Knock that shit off. It's just the way you talk. That person put so much love into that super chat, bro. Like, you know how hard it is to type when you do a super chat? I don't know why. For some reason, it's really hard to type messages on super chats. They take forever. Like, they fucking separate one word into two words. It's really weird. Like, you got to go back and fuck. Like they make it so hard to give creators money. And I'm like, when I'm trying to super chat other creators. And this guy had to like put the accent in there and everything for Swamp Muncha, Wannabe, and and Nanch. Swamp Munch and Nanch. It's never, that's gonna fucking bug me all day, bro. Like I'm gonna bust out laughing randomly all fucking day long, dude, when I hear Swamp Munch and Nanch. Oh my god. So that's that article. It's not a very long article, but dude, holy shit. Let me tell you this. Brian Higgins was apparently interviewed, and I think the easiest way here is to, I mean, if we're trying to free Turtleboy and we're trying to celebrate Turtleboy's work, let's just read Turtleboy's article on the Brian Higgins thing. Now it would take forever to actually, you know what? Let me do this. Let me just do this real quick. And if you're leaving to go watch Nurse Kim, your vote doesn't count. So don't vote. Fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, no, your vote doesn't count because you're not going to be here. But hold on. Let me see. All right, I'm gonna let the people vote. You guys decide what you want. It's up to you. Because the Microdots video has been out a couple days. And you guys know I like to like celebrate Microdots, and I like to go over his videos and watch them with you guys when I watch them. Even though I am subscribed to his Patreon, I get early access. And all that does is make me go, oh, and then I don't like, oh, let me wait. That's what I do every time. Like I'll get an email that'll say Microdots new video from Patreon, and I'll be like, oh, and then I'll be like, oh, I'll just have to wait. So I get all ooh for no reason at all every time. Not really for no reason, just because I get so excited to watch a Microdots video. Ooh! Let me check the poll here. See where you guys are at. Ooh, it's close. Yeah, everybody's kind of split here. 332 votes. That's a good chunk of votes there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play the Jeopardy music. See how you guys feel once the Jeopardy music's over. Hold on, let me check. Bukakei. People want to hear about the Bukakei stuff first. Let's do it. Let's do the Bukakei stuff. All right. Bukakei wins by a nose. Okay. So we'll go over the Micronuts video is not going anywhere. We'll go over that next time. I'm still getting. I was subscribed to fucking his shit, and I think I canceled it by accident. Hold on. Or I logged out of it, and then I just didn't. I don't know. I think I signed out of it by accident, and then I never signed back in. But I had it to where I wasn't getting ads. Really annoying. But anyway. So Aiden writes here, Canton cover-up, part 544, Brian Higgins' interview with Yuri Bukakei shows he was never asked about waterfall behavior, confirmation bias from investigators over theory no one had proposed. Wow. Okay. That's a big deal. Hold on one second here, folks. Why didn't anybody tell me my sound sucked? So now let's go ahead and read this. Thanks to North Carolina attorney Corey Hopkins and her relentless public record skills, we now have access to Brian Higgins' initial interview with Yuri Bukakei on February 3rd, 2022, 2 days after Karen Reed was arrested and charged with manslaughter for the death of her boyfriend, John O'Keefe. This has never been made public in its entirety, although I have published in a small portion of it in Canton Cover Up Part 300. It gives us a lot of insight into just how shady Higgins is. So yeah, I guess this was a FOIA. Brian, you're slipping, bro. Jesus, dude. This guy's like a FOIA Superman, and he dropped the ball on this. Amateur hour, BLT. Amateur hour, bro. Jeez. Anyway, for starters, Higgins has his attorney, Michael Donatelli, with him during the interview. Right here, you have Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully, blah, 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 blah. On February 3rd, 2022, at approximately 3:45 p.m., Trooper Proctor and I traveled to blankety blank for a pre-scheduled interview with Brian Higgins. Though our investigation, blah, 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 blah. Through our investigation into the death of John O'Keefe, Brian had been identified as a witness present with a group of friends at Waterfall Bar and Grill on January 28, 2022. Brian also was one of the friends that was invited back to the home, or back to 34 Fairview Road in Canton following the bar closing for the night, and was a witness to events inside the home. The following is a summary of information requested and provided by Brian during the interview with Trooper Proctor and me in the presence of his attorney, Michael Donatelli. And Aiden goes on to write, why would a completely innocent person not under investigation for his role in a murder need a high-profile defense attorney with him while speaking with police? Karen Reed had already been arrested and arraigned at this point. He had no reason to believe they were looking into him. That's something that I'm going to have to disagree on Aiden for here. I mean, if he's law enforcement, I get what he's saying, and it looks shady. And but you're being questioned about something. You want a lawyer there. You know what I mean? Like, even if you're just a witness, you want a lawyer there. You don't know if people are going to start trying to point fingers at you. Like, try to look at it from the perspective of somebody who's in law enforcement and is supposed to be a witness to a crime that you don't even know what happened. You're like, I don't even really fucking know, right? Let's just say he's buddies with Brian Albert, and Brian Albert's like, let's say just, hypothetically that Brian Albert's telling the truth. We know he's not, but let's just say that hypothetically Brian Albert's telling the truth. Karen did this, blah, 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 right? So I could see Higgins being like, I could see him and Brian Albert talking, and Brian Albert being like, I don't know, dude. The dude fucking we're hanging out at the bar. Next thing you know, we go home. He's supposed to meet up with us. He never shows up, and they find him dead on the lawn in the morning. That's all I fucking know, dude. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Well, dude, you're a cop. I'm a cop. Blah, 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 blah. The cops are probably going to want to ask you some questions. Like the MSP is going to want to ask you some questions. So, all right, well, I'll just have my lawyer with me just in case, because you don't know what if Brian Higgins knows that Brian Albert is the kind of shitbag that understands that Higgy totally kisses his ass, and that his kissing ass of this guy has gone so far to now it's just like, all right, the ass kissing's over. I'm an ATF agent first. And I don't know what the fuck's going on here, but I ain't talking to nobody without a fucking lawyer, because I don't know if this dude's going to try to throw me under the bus. You know what I mean? So, I don't think, I don't necessarily think, I think given the circumstances, I agree with Turtleboy that it's absolutely suspicious that he would need a fucking attorney for that. I think it tells a lot, but overall, like generally speaking, I don't think it's weird at all that he would have an attorney present. So like if you were to ask him in open court, well, why did you feel during that line of questioning, why did you feel that you needed an attorney present? Well, because I'm an ATF agent, and, and I believe in the Constitution, and I don't think anybody should be talking to law enforcement without an attorney present, honestly. Like, that's the easy answer, and nobody's going to question that. No defense attorney who's cross-examining him is going to question that. They're going to go, okay. Because you don't want the defendant to look weird for lawyering up, right? So I feel like everybody should lawyer up, is my point. And Higgins also told Bukakei that the atmosphere of the waterfall was friendly and jovial. And hold on a second, folks. I forgot to do something here, which I normally do. And let me pin that. So pinned to the top of the chat is Aiden's defense fund link, and here is, if there's enough space for it. Yeah, here is the link to Aiden's article, and you can join ad-free, unlike what I've got going on here, and support Aiden that way. And just read his articles directly. So it says here, Higgins also told Bukakei that the atmosphere at the waterfall was friendly and jovial. Right. We know that's not true. Brian began by saying that he met John O'Keefe and Karen at the same time approximately 1 year ago at either, wait a second. JC Music Man, thank you so much. Speaking of metal breakdowns, check out the short by El Esteparillo. CB. God, I thought I was so fucking cool by pronouncing that last name right, and then he throws another one in there. Siberiano. El Estepario Siberiano. Sleep Token, the summoning or Kublai Khan Ant Pile or Ant Pile 2 or band It Dies Today. Okay, JC Music Man, thank you for all of the metal recommendations. See, that's one of those dudes who really listens to metal. JC Music Man's one of those dudes. Apparently, you're like on next level metal that I never got on. You know, like I bet you listen to fucking like Norwegian metal and shit. You know, just because it's where Vikings come from. Like just because, like, oh, it's not real metal unless there's Vikings making metal music. People of Viking blood. You're one of those dudes, probably. I'm not at that level, dude. Like dudes on stage wearing fucking leather kilts and shit. Like, nah, man, that's way too much for me. With their fucking beards braided and shit going this far down and shit. Like, nah, it's too much. It's too much. But thank you. Brian began by saying that I already read that on January 28th, 2022, the night of the waterfall. Brian told us he was coming back from New York City with his friend Brian Albert, where the two of them attended a funeral. Brian told us that the two returned back to Massachusetts earlier than planned in order to beat the poor weather moving into the area. Once back in Canton, Brian met his friend Brian Albert and their group of friends who were already at the Waterfall Bar at approximately 10 p.m. Brian described the atmosphere at the Waterfall as friendly, jovial, with a live band playing. The group was occupying the long, high top table closest to the bar and near where the band was set up. But surveillance footage shows that he had to be held back by Chris Albert while looking into the direction of John O'Keefe, who appeared to be taunting Higgins. And let's take a look at that. And there you have Chris Albert trying to calm Higgins down. You see Higgins getting very upset. You see people trying to keep their distance because something very aggressive was happening. People normally aren't drawn to aggression. Bystanders aren't. They're deterred by it. Let's play that one more time real quick. You see Chris Albert physically holding Brian Higgins back. Brian Albert is on the other side of Brian Higgins there, on the other side of Chris Albert, actually. And you see this gentleman just try to get away from it all. And you see John O'Keefe just like, whatever. Over here going, okay, what's your deal, bro? What's your deal exactly? Keep your eye over there on John O'Keefe. Okay? And then he does a little jig right there. See that? And Miss Cameo Middle School English, thank you so much. I have a student just like you. He broke down a song he couldn't remember today, just like that. Also, you missed my earlier super chat. Yeah, that was me in middle school. Right. This is also me in middle school, just old and winning, as I stated in that petty stream the other night. And here's more. I think that's just a picture, though. Higgins said that he had no idea what anyone was drinking because he was basically an introvert. But yet he remembered in full detail that Karen Reed placed a glass with a clear liquid on the table and that the glass was ribbed and consistent with a drinking glass from C.F. McCarthy's, because somehow he can identify C.F. McCarthy's drinking glasses the moment he sees one. So here's Bukakei sitting there interviewing Brian Higgins, and Brian Higgins goes, yeah, the glass, it was ribbed. And Bukakei goes, you mean like a condom? Ribbed like a condom? Is that what you're? And he goes, like a what? Like a rubber, like a condom, ribbed, right? Like a what? Like a huh? I never heard of that. What is that? I don't know. Huh? For intercourse, Brian. You use it as a contraceptive. A contra what? A contra who? Contra? 1980s? Huh? Up, down, left, right, A, B, C, A, start? Contra? Huh? Bobby Jeans, thank you so much. Oh, Will, the way you rub your beard with your hand gets me more Jesus fuck, lady. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Wow. Higgins said that he had no idea what anyone was drinking. He also said that everyone was in a good mood and that no arguments between John and Karen or anyone else, okay, happened while he was there. Brian stated he remembered when John and Karen walked into the bar together and Karen opened her coat and placed a glass with a clear liquid in it onto the table. Brian described the drinking glass as being ribbed and consistent with the ones utilized by the C.F. McCarthy's establishment. Wow. Okay, wait a second. Okay, this is interesting. So Brian stated he remembered when John and Karen walked into the bar together and Karen opened her coat and placed a glass with a clear liquid in it onto the table. Brian describing the drinking glass as being ribbed and consistent with the ones utilized by the C.F. McCarthy's establishment across the street. That's a lot of detail. Because obviously he's looking at Karen. Karen walks in and his attention's on her. That's it. Once Karen walks into that room, Brian Higgins is only thinking about Karen Reed. That's it. That's where his mind is. He is completely and totally fixated. Okay? And it's interesting that he understands and knows that C.F. McCarthy's, that it's so convenient that he understands that these are the glasses that C.F. McCarthy's uses. Like, because that's what people pay attention to when they go to the bar. When they go to the bar, they pay attention to the glassware. And they go, oh, wait a second. That person walked in with a drink. That's consistent with the glassware used at another establishment that I didn't go to earlier tonight, but I happen to know that that's the glassware that this other establishment uses. I seriously doubt that. It's possible, but I doubt it. Brian told us he remembered John to be wearing a rolled baseball style cap, and Karen had black knee-high boots and maybe a white shirt. Brian did not know what Karen was drinking and was not even sure if she finished her brought beverage. At one point after John and Karen's arrival, Brian told us that there was a round of shots brought to the table for members of the group to have. Brian was not sure what anyone was drinking, since according to him, he keeps to himself and stays pretty quiet. Right. He's an introvert. Okay. He keeps to himself and he keeps very quiet while he plays grab ass with another grown man in public. Right. When asked about the atmosphere and people's behavior and demeanor, Brian described it to be casual with conversations taking place. Everyone was in a good mood, especially Karen and John. Brian added that he had seen John have a few drinks in the past, but this night, John was very calm and did not appear intoxicated at all. Brian added that it was a good vibe. No arguments between Karen and John or anyone else, and he remembers John smiling throughout the night. This is interesting. Everyone was in a good mood. No arguments between Karen or John or anyone else, right? Even though we just saw footage that there was a serious problem that Higgins had with John from across the bar, and we all know that he had motive to have those problems. Brian went on to say that once the bar was closing, Jen McKay, Brian Albert's sister-in-law, invited everyone in their group of friends back to Brian Albert's house. At the time, Brian stated that he only knew that he himself was going back to Brian's home at 34 Fairview, but did not know I want to see the rest of that. Because I have some, hold on. I got some thoughts on that. JC Music Man, again, thank you, buddy. To clarify, my friend, I too appreciate a badass sounding break it down like you did with the Bukakei. The ones listed are only the break it downs. I'm too lazy to listen to the whole song. Keep breathing down the break it downs. I love that. Okay. JC Music Man has severe ADHD, which I can absolutely relate to. He's like, yeah, no, fast forward to the break it down. That's all I need to hear. I need to hear the break it down. That's all I need. But you do want to hear like the first, like you want to hear the last count, the last 4 count riff before the break it down, because the break it down doesn't have the effect it has without leading into the break it down, and then the coming out of the break it down back into the main riff. That's what makes the break it down that good. Thank you, JC Music Man. I appreciate it. Now, it's interesting. No arguments between Karen and John or anyone else that night. Now, what this leads me to believe, well, the questions that it arises for me is, did they know about the waterfall video? Did they canvas? Did they do what, I mean, we're talking, this is February 3rd. This is not even a week after John's death, but a few days have gone by. What would be the first thing an investigator would do? Find out where was the last place people saw John, right? You're asking people who spent time with John. You know that he was at the waterfall. You've already had a couple of people tell you that he was at the waterfall that night, right? It's the first thing you find out. So what would you do as an investigator? In theory, because none of us are actually investigators, in all fairness. I'm not an investigator. But one thing I've seen in reports that have taken place is, we went to the Waterfall Bar and Grill and we got the video surveillance footage. And after looking at the video surveillance footage, we determined blah, 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 blah. And then you get the statements to see if any of those statements contradict what you saw on the video at the waterfall. And then you start looking at the people who aren't being accurate as to what they account for and what the waterfall video accounts for. So that, you narrow down a suspect. Right? Maybe, possibly. Brian went on to say that once the bar was closing, Jen McKay, Brian Albert's sister-in-law, invited everyone in their group of friends back to Brian Albert's house. At the time, Brian stated that he only knew that he himself was going back to Brian's home at 34 Fairview, but he did not know. Now that's the part that cuts off that I look at the still that Aiden puts up there. Look at Tara Raider. Thank you so much. Karen Reed drinks were in a tall glass, not a highball. I imagine Brian Higgins goes to the parking lot, cries, and asks Brian Albert for a tamp to fill his vajayjay. Right. Evidence pending weather. Thank you so much. I love the handle. Just got here. What are we reading and where has this been? Now, this was in Discovery because Brian Higgins testified to some of the questions that he was asked. He testified to this interview to some degree that took place here. It's just that someone went and FOIA'd the interview and got it and put it out there. And so now that it's out there, we're just seeing it was Bukakei and Proctor who interviewed Higgins, and there's nothing alluding to any discourse. There's nothing alluding to Brian Higgins texting John O'Keefe and saying, like, Brian Higgins never comes forward and says, I texted him to say, are you coming here? He basically lies and said, well, I had no idea he was planning on going over there. I had no idea. So why'd you send a text to John saying, are you coming here? Why'd you do that? Because I'll tell you, me and Loophole Lawyer are on the same page. Brian Higgins totally did this shit. That's totally how I feel about it. That's my opinion. Brian Higgins totally did this shit. But we are reading a Turtleboy interview or a Turtleboy article about this interview with Brian Higgins by Bukakei and Proctor, since it was FOIA'd and put out there. From Canton Cover Up Part 300, Higgins told Bukakei that he was the first one to arrive at the house before the Alberts, and that he plowed the less than 1 inch of snow in the driveway before parking on the street in the house. That's absolutely true. He absolutely did this, and he testified to this too. Had a plow attached to the front of his truck, was parked there, and at the time when supposedly Karen and John had pulled up. So if Karen had hit John, then why didn't she back into Brian Higgins' Jeep? She didn't have enough space to back into John if Brian Higgins' Jeep was parked there, but nobody talks about that. Anyway, Brian went on to say that the bar was closing. Jen McCabe, this is from the report. Blah, blah, blah. But he did not know who else was coming, which is a lie. Brian's home at 34 Fairview, but did not know who else was coming. Brian stated that he was driving his Jeep that evening, which is equipped with a snowplow. Brian said he was the first to arrive back at 34 Fairview Road, and as a result, he cleaned out a space for Brian Albert and his wife, Nicole, to park the vehicle they were driving in the driveway. Subsequently, Brian stated he parked his Jeep on the road along the property, closest to the driveway on the left, facing towards Chapman Street. At this time, there were no other vehicles in front of his Jeep. Brian stated that once inside the home located at 34 Fairview Road, he observed Brian and Nicole Albert, Nicole's sister Jen, and her husband Matt McCabe, as well as Brian and Nicole's children, who were home at the time of everyone's arrival back from the Waterfall Bar. Except there's just one big problem with that story, Turtleboy says here. Caitlin Albert, who wasn't interviewed by police until July 2023, told investigators, now that's over a year later, folks, told investigators that she arrived at the house before Brian Higgins did. Caitlin Albert. So, but wait a second. Isn't Caitlin Albert Brian and Nicole's daughter? Caitlin Albert is Brian and Nicole's daughter, right? Okay, so well, I mean, if Brian is saying, if maybe I'm reading this wrong, at the time there was no other vehicles in front of his Jeep. Brian stated that once inside the home located at 34 Fairview Road, he observed. So once Brian went inside, he observed Nicole Albert, Nicole's sister Jen. He observed Brian and Nicole Albert, Nicole's sister Jen and her husband Matt McCabe, as well as Brian and Nicole's children, right? So that would be Caitlin, who were home at the time of everyone's arrival back from the Waterfall Bar and Grill. They were home at the time of everyone's arrival. So Caitlin Albert, who wasn't interviewed by police until over a year later, told investigators that she arrived at the house before Brian Higgins did. So that makes sense, right? That, to me, that tracks. That's what she said. She was at the home. They were already there. Who were home at the time of everyone's arrival. So, I don't know. I feel like maybe Aiden misread that. Unless I'm missing something because I'm also kind of stupid. When Caitlin arrived at 34 Fairview Road with her parents, they parked in the driveway and encountered her cousin Colin Albert. And I bet you Aiden's fucking listening to this and going, keep reading, bro, if he's listening. Encountered her cousin Colin Albert, who was walking out of the house and getting a ride home from his friend Allie. When Caitlin entered the house, she saw her brother Brian Jr., Sarah Levinson, and Julie Nagel. Shortly after getting to her parents' home, Brian Higgins arrived. Right. So that's consistent. But it says here when Caitlin entered the house, she saw her brother Brian Jr., Sarah Levinson, and Julie Nagel. But he leaves out that Sarah Levinson and Julie Nagel were already in the house when he got there too. So it says Caitlin stated prior to Matt and Jen arriving, her father took their dog out to the backyard so she could use the bathroom and then brought her back upstairs where she remained the rest of the night. Caitlin recalls her dad showing Brian Higgins around and thought to herself that he must have never been here before. Caitlin recalled hearing Jen talking on the phone and saying, "Come by, text me when you get here. It was John." Caitlin stated John never entered the house that night and she never saw him. At approximately 1:45 a.m., Caitlin was picked up by Tristan, who left from the Waterfall Bar earlier in the night. Caitlin and Tristan returned to their residence in Easton. Caitlin stated she was the last person to leave that did not live at her parents' house. Okay. Sorry, I'm looking at chat here. I mean, they're both trained law enforcement, but I don't believe that there was ever really any intention of John being taken by himself. Well, I think Caitlin Albert, there's a lot of reasons why I think Caitlin wasn't being truthful. But that's a whole nother stream. There's a lot of reasons why I feel that way, but I want to stay on task here because we could go, and then this will turn into a whole Charlie Day crazy conspiracy board thing. Higgins' story is also contradicted by Ryan Nagel, Heather Maxson, and Richie D'Antonio. I don't know how to say his name. All of whom testified that there was no white Jeep parked where Brian Higgins said it was. Agreed. None of them said that there was a white Jeep there. That's very, very important to keep in mind. But wait, if Higgins was parked in front of the house, then how come Karen Reed and Ryan Nagel didn't see his Jeep with the plow on it? Because that's pretty specific. How could Ryan Nagel have seen Reed's taillight in pristine condition if Higgins' Jeep was in between them, blocking his view? Now, I remember, and this was before I even had Aiden up here, before the very first time I even talked to Aiden, during the time that I was like, stop fucking spamming my chat with Turtleboy's name because I'm not ready to talk to this guy yet. I have tons of documentation here. Before I decide to talk to him, I want to get to know this documentation first. I want to get to know these documents. And I did this live. And so it was Ryan Nagel's statement that really got my bells ringing. Obviously, the obvious stuff that everyone else had, which was John O'Keefe's injuries, all of the stuff that are big red flags to begin with, right? But Ryan Nagel's statement, hands at 10-2, right? Ryan Nagel's statement saying that he saw Karen Reed's SUV pull onto the property alongside the house, along in front of the house, was behind her, saw that noted that there was no visible damage to the car, that the rear lights were all illuminated, and that there was no damage, right? And that there was a female driving the SUV, hands at 10-2, alone in the vehicle. He didn't say that there was a 6'2" man standing next to the vehicle. He didn't see a body laying out in the lawn. He didn't see anything like this. So if John wasn't laying out in the lawn, and he wasn't standing outside of the vehicle, and he wasn't sitting in the vehicle, and if Karen Reed's taillight was intact, or if Karen Reed had already hit John, then her taillight wouldn't be intact. And if Karen Reed's taillight was intact, according to the Commonwealth's theory, then that would mean John O'Keefe would have had to have been inside Karen Reed's SUV. If her taillight's intact, then John O'Keefe is inside the SUV. But if he's neither laying on the lawn or inside the vehicle, then he's got to be one other place. And that is inside 34 Fairview Road. That is inside 34 Fairview, period. So when I read that, that was one of the things that made me go, all right, I need to talk to this Turtleboy dude. I need to talk to this dude because this shit is fucking crazy. That makes no sense. And it's been history from there. Let's see. Bukakei also wrote in his report that he and Michael Proctor once again confirmed that John O'Keefe never entered the home and that there were no arguments or fights between anyone at the residence. Prior to sending John a text message at 12:20 a.m., "Where are you?" Brian remembers Jen being on the phone with John and giving him directions to the home. Brian described his positioning at the dining room table as having his back to the picture windows and did not observe any activity outside in front of the home. Brian further confirmed that neither John nor Karen entered the home at any point during that evening. Brian further added that he had no knowledge of any vehicle sitting out in front of the home with headlights on. Trooper Proctor and I once again confirmed that John O'Keefe never entered the home and that there were no arguments or fights between anyone at the residence. Yeah, he had no knowledge of any vehicle, but he got there first. Now, he would have been inside the home when it happened, right? So he may not have seen her vehicle pull up. But I'm telling you that if she came and left while Brian Higgins' Jeep with a plow attached to it is parked where she would have had to have, like right in the space where she would have had to have picked up enough speed to hit John O'Keefe. The only way John O'Keefe, this is the interesting part, in my opinion, physics dictates that the only reason John O'Keefe would have been found at the point of the lawn by the flagpole that he was found if Karen had backed into John and sent him flying is if he would have hit Brian Higgins' plow so hard that it sent him bouncing and flying the other way, which there's no way that would have happened either. My point being is that Brian Higgins, according to Brian Higgins, his Jeep was parked very much in the way of where there would have to be enough force, enough speed for Karen to have had to pick up to hit and clip John O'Keefe so hard that he went spinning and propelled in the opposite direction of force to land next to the flagpole in front of Karen Reed's vehicle, in the front of Karen Reed's SUV. There's no way. Yeah, none of that matters. None of that matters, Lynette, but thank you. And I know what you're saying, just to add to the confusion, sure. But it doesn't really add to the confusion because Brian Higgins' Jeep was the only one with a plow parked where he said it was parked. And there's just no way that Karen could have picked up enough speed if his car was parked there to hit John O'Keefe. There's no way. She would have had to have hit. She would have hit Brian Higgins' Jeep. She would have hit Brian Higgins' Jeep if it was parked there. And she backed at that speed hard enough to hit John O'Keefe to cause him to propel like a fucking helicopter to the front of her SUV and land by the flagpole. There's no fucking way. And then Brian remembers Jen being on the phone, blah, 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 blah. I already read that. Trooper Proctor and I once again confirmed that John O'Keefe never entered the home and that there were no arguments or fights between anyone in the residence, which is interesting. Why would he feel the need to point out that there were no arguments and fights inside the home? Right, exactly. That's what Aiden's saying here, but that was going to be my next point. If no one had alleged on February 3rd that a fight or argument had taken place inside the house, right? How did they know that one day this would be Karen Reed's third-party culprit defense? Great point. So Aiden's pointing out here that like nobody said anything about a fucking February 3rd, 2022. Nobody fucking said nothing about no fight. There was nobody talking about a fight. Karen's just confused as to what the fuck's going on. Like they just towed my fucking car. I don't understand what's happening. But there's no, I mean, there's nothing. What was it? February 2nd that she was arraigned? Wasn't it February 2nd? Unless I'm wrong. Wasn't it February 2nd that David Yannetti filed that motion to order the Commonwealth to share all discovery and evidence with the defense? I'm like 90% sure it was February 2nd. So if that was the case, I mean, there was no allegation that there was a fight inside the house yet. That's a pretty specific detail to try to omit, to admit in the form of omission. It's a very weird detail to put in that report. And let's watch this. It says, additionally, Higgins told the federal grand jury that he saw a tall man with dark hair who fit the description of John O'Keefe enter the house. Less than a couple of minutes, Higgins admitted on the stand that he didn't recall if he told Bukakei that. Right? So here, let's watch this real quick.
You were asked the question, quote, did that male come inside the house? You answered, I believe he did. Question, so you saw someone else come? Answer, somebody else. Yes. Correct?
Yes, but I also said that I wasn't paying attention.
I realize that you want to explain your answer. I've asked you a very simple question. Was that your testimony in front of another proceeding?
Yes, it was.
At another proceeding?
Right.
You were under oath?
Yes, it was.
Okay. You also said that you only remember...
And this is brilliant because AJ is right here putting up the building blocks that show that Higgins is a fucking liar.
...seeing that person come in briefly. And it looked like he was having a conversation with the two girls, briefly, correct?
Yes.
You were asked how long was the person in there roughly, and you said it was quick. Less than a couple of minutes. I mean, it was quick, correct?
Yes.
And then you were asked what he looked like, and you said, I feel like they were a little bit taller. They had dark hair, correct?
Yes.
So you testified that a tall, dark-haired male came into the house, at least briefly, in your testimony, correct?
To the grand jury.
Yes.
To get an indictment.
In the timeline of...
To get an indictment. This is what he testified to a grand jury. And the purpose of this grand jury was to get an indictment on Karen Reed, the guy that, or the woman that he was so fucking interested in, that he was texting with, that he was interested in romantically, who he thought was interested in him romantically. Fascinating. And remember, lest we forget that Karen Reed texted him, John's dead. She must have saw her phone and saw the text from him saying, well, and by the time she answers him, John's dead. No response from him, by the way. Nothing to console. I mean, John was his friend. He felt so guilty about what was happening between the two of them because John was his friend. And at no point does he go, oh my God. Wait a minute. What happened? I just saw you guys. What happened? Complete and total disregard. Ghost.
Events did that unidentified male enter the residence?
I don't know the time frame. It would have been while I was there.
When you gave your statement to the Massachusetts State Police, you didn't tell them about a tall, dark-haired male coming into the residence at 34 Fairview, did you, on February 3rd?
I don't recall.
He doesn't recall.
You were specifically asked by ADA Lally when you testified before the state court grand jury on April 28th, 2022, who else was present, correct?
Yes.
And you never mentioned a tall, dark-haired male coming into the house, did you?
No.
However, on June 1st, 2023, at this other proceeding, you were specifically instructed at the start of your testimony that it was a crime to give materially false statements in that proceeding.
No,
correct?
he didn't ghost her because she ghosted him. He ghosted her because he killed John O'Keefe, knows what happened to him at the very least, and then fucking knew that they were trying to pin it on her. So he ghosted her. Dina, thank you so much. Just because I value your stream and respect you. Oh, that's really nice. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes.
And that's the proceeding in which you admitted that there was a tall, dark-haired
And Dina's a fucking rock star, bro. We respect the fuck out of you too, Dina. You're amazing.
male who came in the house. Yes or no? Yes or no? It was that proceeding.
Can you answer that yes or no?
No, I can't, Your Honor.
Next question, Mr. Jackson.
No, I can't, Your Honor. I mean, get real, dude. Aiden goes on to say this does not fit the description of anyone else in the house because none of them testified that they stayed for less than a couple of minutes. Higgins likely said this in case proof did not come out, or sorry, in case proof did come out that O'Keefe had entered the house. He technically would have lied to federal investigators about that. Exactly. That's the only reason he did that. Like, oh, maybe, I don't know, because in case proof does come out that that's beyond his control, in case proof that John O'Keefe actually did enter the house, he could be like, oh, I never actually said definitively that he never went in the house. He gets to say that shit. He gets to hide behind that shit. In one of the most disgusting things I've ever read, but never heard about until today, Aiden goes on to write, Higgins told Bukakei that he didn't pay attention to the lawn behind the snowbank and began getting emotional while sharing that he wished he had seen John's body on the lawn because he would have tried to save his friend's life. Unreal. Unreal. Says that he began to get emotional. Wow. We directed Brian's attention to him leaving the home, to which he stated he walked to his Jeep. Now, this is from the report. This is from the statement. He walked from his Jeep and did not observe anything unusual or suspicious surrounding the home. Brian went on to say that the forecasted blizzard was moving into the region and that he was concerned about the plow operating properly and did not pay too much attention to the lawn area behind the snowbank. Brian became emotional while sharing with us that he wished he saw John on the ground and in the snow so that he could have provided first aid and possibly have saved his friend's life. Why didn't he answer Karen's text when Karen told him that John was dead? I was in a bad area and I didn't get the text. Bullshit. I mean, that's not what he said. I'm just speculating as to what excuse he might give. Brian confirmed that he did not see John and traveled directly to Canton PD in order to fulfill some administrative obligations. The route to travel, Brian stated, was up Fairview towards Chapman, left on Chapman, followed by a left on Washington towards Canton PD. If John O'Keefe was his friend, then he would have been trying to bang. Then he wouldn't have been trying to bang his girlfriend. Good point. There also wasn't any snowbank when he left sometime around 1:30, nor was there any snow in the driveway for him to plow prior to Albert's arrival at home from the waterfall. Oh my God. Barbara just sent a Venmo for $50. Thank you so much. Wish I could be there Friday. I am away. Bring Turtleboy luck. I will do my best. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Barbara. Fantastic. Amazing. If John O'Keefe was his friend, right, he wouldn't have been trying to bang his girlfriend. There also wasn't any snowbank when he left sometime around 1:30. Nor was there any snow in the driveway for him to plow prior to Albert's arrival at the home from the waterfall. Right. The storm hadn't happened yet. This is a very important thing to keep in mind. The devil's in the details, folks. Aiden is doing what Aiden does here, right? The devil's in the details. Remember, the snow, Brian said himself that he was concerned about the upcoming snowstorm. The forecasted snowstorm. It says right there in the report. Bukakei says this is what Brian Higgins told him. Right? The devil's in the details, people. There was no snow to plow. Not enough. Not enough that required a plow. And surely not enough to build a snowbank alongside the road, alongside the property. There wasn't enough snow on the ground yet. It had just started snowing hard. This is very important to keep in mind. So for Higgins to say, oh, well, I got there early to plow everything and make, what do you mean, dude? There was nothing to plow. And here's the Microdots video about Higgins, which is great. Like, this is 15 minutes long. We're not going to go over that. Or we might if we have time. But I don't think there is, because this is a very, very good article and it's very detailed. Bukakei also noted that the tone of the conversation with Higgins changed as Higgins confessed about his text messages with Karen Reed. According to the report, he had taken the liberty to extract all messages between him and John O'Keefe and him and Karen Reed. According to the report, he had taken the liberty. Okay? This was, remember, February 3rd, 2022, just a few days after John O'Keefe's death. Not even a week. After John O'Keefe's death, Brian Higgins decides to wipe and delete anything involving his text with Karen Reed or John O'Keefe. He took the liberty. Why? Why? Why ghost Karen when she says John's dead? Why go back that night? Why go back to the Canton PD and do all these things that you didn't testify to doing? Or not do the things that you testified to doing? Why wipe your phone? Take the liberty to wipe your phone of communications with Karen and communications with John. Your friend, who you wish you had seen laying in the snowbank so that you could perform CPR and save his life. As soon as John is dead, you wipe your phone of any communications with him and his girlfriend. Why? It's weird. That's what makes having a lawyer present during questioning suspicious. Not the fact that he had a lawyer present. That kind of shit, wiping his phone, is what makes having a lawyer present seem shady when he's being questioned. Brian further added that he would explain the reasoning behind those actions as he explained some of, and then it cuts off there. But Aiden goes on to say he didn't mention that he had sought his best friend, Matt Keitch, a fellow federal agent, had used government property to download those messages and only those messages so that he could present them to MSP investigators. This was a crime, which was why he had to leave to have his lawyer babysit him on the stand. Right. This is why he had the lawyer babysit him on the stand.
Yeah, he's my best friend. Yes.
And he's a special agent with the FBI, isn't he?
No, he's not.
Was he then?
He's never been a special agent with FBI. He's a special agent with ATF.
My mistake. I thought he was with the FBI. He's a federal special agent.
He's a
He's a
coworker of mine,
federal
yes.
agent,
Which makes him a
bro.
federal special
Stop
agent,
it.
An ATF agent, yes.
And does he work for or have access to the Regional Computer Forensics Lab?
Yes, he works over there.
Okay, that's the FBI Regional Computer Forensics Lab, correct?
Yes.
That's how I got my mistake. I apologize.
Well, I just want to make sure the record's reflected correctly.
You and me both. So you reflected it correctly. So Matt Kelch is an ATF agent who works at the FBI Regional Computer Forensics Lab, correct?
Yes.
And he's an expert in digital forensics, is he not?
He has a level of expertise more than myself,
And
yes.
he's one of your best friends.
He is my best friend.
You spoke to him about the death of John O'Keefe, did you not?
Yes.
And you asked him for a personal favor, sort of off the books.
Dude, I totally know Higgins without ever even meeting him. Like, I already know this guy. And he totally fucking did this shit. And it was all just to impress somebody. Because this guy really, he's got a low opinion of himself. And he's way too consumed with what other people that he likes and respects think of him. Like, he's one of your best friends, right? No, he is my best friend. Like, okay, bro. That he sounds like a third grader. That's my best friend. He is my best friend. Oh, are you going to bring your little good friend with you? He's my best friend. And yes, he's coming with me. I don't go to birthday parties without him. That's what he sounds like. Right. He's my best friend. And then I have Brian Albert, who's like my second best friend. He's almost my best friend, but not my best friend like the guy that I work with. He's my best friend because I hang out with him every day. We do everything. We go to lunch, stuff like that. And he's my best friend. Brian Albert, like if the other guy died, then Brian Albert would be my best friend, but not until he goes to another school or something. That's what he sounds like. This is a grown man, bro. This is a grown man, and this is what killed John O'Keefe, in my opinion. This guy's fucking low self-esteem and insecurity is what killed Boston police officer John O'Keefe. It's sad.
Correct?
Objection.
In that form, I'll sustain it.
Did you ask him for a personal favor?
No.
Did you ask him to show you or consult with you how to pull things off of your phone that you decide to get off your phone?
I asked him how I could pull text strings off my cellular telephone for the purpose of providing them to law enforcement.
This was not in connection with.
And this was somewhere in between January 29th, 2022 and February 3rd, 2022. Think about that window. It's a very, very small window.
Any case that he was working, correct?
That's correct.
It was not in connection with any case you were working, correct?
Objection.
Objection sustained, but you already answered. I'll strike that answer. Second question you can answer. Is this in connection to any case you?
No, Your Honor.
Next question.
But you asked your friend to utilize his resources to teach you how to extract certain information off your phone. Is that what you did?
I asked him if it was possible to get this off, if there was a method to get this off my phone so I could provide it to law enforcement.
And that information was selected by you, correct?
Two particular text threads, yes.
Right. In other words, there was nobody else that was picking and choosing what to get off your phone. That was just you.
It was me, yes.
And the reason you did that, Mr. Higgins, is that you wanted to control and limit the amount of information that was pulled off your phone.
Folks, I just got a Venmo from Francis. Thank you so much, Francis, for the Venmo. She sent $10 and says, for your information, FYI, Turtleboy's hearing on Friday is postponed to the 30th per Betero. It's the first time hearing of that. Let me see here. Well, another tweet just pulled up from the mighty one here. I'd like to read it. I have not read this yet, but it is 2 hours ago. And the mighty one posted, shame on all of you keyboard warriors who assume and speculate that we are seeking an adjournment out of fear of addressing legal issues which have been fully briefed. We do this for a living.
Whether you Twitter people care or don't, we are prepared to argue. It is our living. Keyboard warriors with too much time on their hands understandably may have no idea how busy schedules work, how crisis arises, and must be triaged. Why an adjournment request may become necessary, and in particular, how critical issues arise unexpectedly and may require a human attorney to drop everything and immediately address a crisis and support a close friend and client without reservation in difficult times. Shame on you. This has been a possibility for days. Sit tight. You'll have your chance to criticize soon enough, just not Friday. In the meantime, find a fucking hobby. He didn't say fucking. I threw that in there because I felt like it needed a fucking in there. There you have it, folks. I guess that's a response to people trying to act like Bettero's scared in some way. So, okay, I guess I won't be seeing you guys on Friday, but rest assured, when this motion is going to be argued by the mighty Mark Bettero in court, I will be there. I will not be threatened or bullied or deterred in any way, shape, or form by anything other than an act of God or the law. I will be there. So it's moved to the 30th. I will be there on the 30th. Let me check to see. And thank you for the Venmo, Francis. I appreciate it. Let me see here real quick. So that's 10 days from now. And that is also a Friday. So it's next Friday. So it's postponed a week. It's postponed a week. I will be there a week from this Friday. I will see you guys at Turtleboy's hearing, and I will be there to support Turtleboy, and I will be there to watch the mighty one crush, especially appointed prosecutor Robert Cosgrove. Get his ass off of this fucking case. Tracy Cooley, thank you so much. Member for 11 months. I think he has a funeral. I saw that somewhere. Yeah. The reason why I threw that fucking in there was because I feel like I know my friend Mark, and I know that he was passionate in that tweet, and I know that he was holding back some pretty fucking strong feelings there. And fuck you people who just see opportunity to tear someone down without even considering that someone might have a crisis to deal with that you wouldn't have to deal with because, you know, you people don't have lives and all you do is trash people on the internet because you're shitbags. Every one of you fucking Twitter fucks who sit there with anonymous accounts who do nothing but trash people. Fuck you. Fuck all of you. And again, we're winning. So just so you know, Elizabeth sent me a Venmo, $10 as well. Thank you so much. See you next Friday. Boston loves you. Fuck the haters. That would be Liz88. Thank you so much, Liz88. And yes, you will see me. So yeah, no biggie. No biggie, folks. Let's continue, shall we?
Right. Objection.
Is that why you did it?
No, I did it because I wanted to provide it to law enforcement, Your Honor.
Okay, next question.
But you could have just provided your phone to law enforcement and let them image the entire thing.
Right.
I guess that was an option, yes.
And you
I guess that was an option, yes. And oh my God, wait a second.
We got a super cat. Super cat. I think we got a super cat. Super cat. Super cat. Super cat. I think we got a super cat. I think we got a super cat. I think we got a super cat.
Welsh lady reads, we can only make you an ambassador to the UK or Wales to rep us all from UK. You absolutely can, as long as I still get to call you Redcoat Limeys. Okay? As long as you don't get upset about that, I will happily represent you. Sorry. I'm just, that's the libertarian in me. Let's move on to this part right here.
All right.
Ma'am, Your Honor.
Yes.
The witness has indicated that he utilized federal resources for personal gain. The specifics of that testimony have been as follows. He indicated that he contacted Matt Kelch.
Grandmaster Sisos. No, you cannot.
Utilized
Wanker.
a federal facility. He called it an unsecure facility, but it's a federal facility notwithstanding. And that the two of them, he and Agent Kelch, utilized federal resources in the form of some kind of a machine, as the witness indicated, for his own personal gain, so that he could, as a witness, in no official capacity, or in any official case, and in Matt Kelch's capacity as an individual rather than an agent, they both worked together to download certain information from the witness's phone in anticipation of turning that highly selected, highly curated information over to law enforcement so that he could later ultimately destroy his phone, which this witness in fact did.
Okay, so
He totally did, which is fucking weird. Unreal. Aiden goes on to write, this didn't bother Bukakei in the least, as he just took Higgins at his word for that these were the entirety of his messages with John and Karen. He didn't need any sort of confirmation that nothing was missing. He didn't ask for his messages between him and any of the other witnesses. Higgins also described his awkward bootleg romance with Karen Reed, claiming that she was the one who made the moves on him in John's garage. And then this goes on to say, and on the events that transpired between the three of them, Trooper Proctor has the complete digital copy. Trooper Proctor has the complete digital copy of the aforementioned data from Brian's device, which he voluntarily provided to us. So, because he's such an angel. On approximately January 12th, 2022, Brian recalled getting a text message from an unknown number to him. The individual contacting Brian turned out to be Karen Reed. The two began friendly text message communications, and eventually both John and Karen invited Brian over for the last New England Patriots game of the season on January 15th, 2022. Brian recalled arriving late into the second half and joined John, Karen, and a few other friends at John's home. Brian stated he walked into the home using the front door. After an evening of drinking, Brian stated that he was leaving the home and attempted to walk out the same way he arrived. Before that, he decided to take John's nephew's controller, be a sore loser and a scrub when he lost a video game, and toss it and break it before he left with the intention of making out with John's girlfriend. According to Brian, Karen offered to show Brian the way to walk him out. While walking through the garage, Brian stated Karen had made an advance on him and surprised him with a kiss on the lips. Sure thing, Bri. Aiden goes on to say, sure thing, Bri. He went on to say that he didn't go to Karen's house in Mansfield after she invited him because he was simply trying to figure out Karen's goals and end result. Yet a few days later, he invited Karen to his house in West Roxbury in order to discuss their future and get a better understanding on what exactly Karen wanted from their friendship. He said that she came over, but they never got intimate. I could guess why, because Higgy's got BLT vibes, bro. Higgy is booming with BLT mojo, which is a lack thereof. That's what that is. That's all that is. BLT mojo, bro. Okay? Higgy game, as we like to play. So we like to call it. What happens when you have Higgy game or BLT mojo, you sit in the same room with a lady, you emit a need for pity, and then the vagina dries up and then the woman leaves. That's what always happens. That is inevitable. It is the chain of events that takes place with one who has Higgy game or BLT mojo. Brian stated he was very shocked by Karen's actions and confused by the entire situation since he was assuming that Karen was in a loving relationship. The chain of events led to Karen and Brian further communicating over text message. One of the days that followed, Karen invited Brian over to her home in Mansfield. Brian claims he never took the trip and was simply trying to figure out Karen's goals and end result. At some point during their text exchange, Karen alluded to an event over New Year's Eve where she caught John kissing another woman in the hotel lobby bar where they stayed to celebrate New Year's Eve. A few days later, Karen was planning a trip to Boston with a friend. Hold on a second. Oh, Welsh lady reads, thank you so much. Sure, Will, that's cool, but can you sound Welshy instead? No, my accents are weak as it is, and I can't depict regions in England to do different accents. Like, I'm not that advanced, bro. I'm not a thespian, okay? Turtleboy has my support, and so do you. UK needs to be represented over there. I bestow thee. Yes, UK is actually represented pretty well here, man. I got to tell you, I know Cherry represents South London very well, and so does my man Grandmaster Stitch Sophos. That's my homie. He's in the chat. He's been with me for years and years. Love the guy. So yeah, I've had some England support for a long time. So yeah, there we go. I've had some English support, some limey support for a long time. And I don't squander it. I'm very grateful. I think it's really cool that people in England like me. Goes on to say, a few days later, Karen was planning a trip to Boston with a friend. Brian stated that on her way back from the city, Brian invited Karen over to his home in West Roxbury in order to discuss their future and get a better understanding of what exactly Karen wanted from their friendship. Brian stated Karen came over and the two talked for a period of time, but never engaged in any intimate activity. Because dude can't get past the sniffing butt stage, bro. Like, he just can't do it. That's the problem with Higgy, dude. I already know. The thing is like, you can't just go in for a kiss with a woman, okay? You can't do that. You can't start getting physical with a woman until there's a chemistry involved confirmation, okay? You gotta look into the eyes. You've got to make sure. You got to see that there's this give take eye contact vibe thing going, and then there's this thing that spins in between the two of you that starts to draw you closer together. And when you feel that, that's when you go for the kiss. But when you don't know, when you can't make this thing happen between the two of you, then don't do it. And if you don't even know that this thing exists, you are never going to get that thing to happen. So obviously you can't, because he's not a weirdo in the sense that he's going to just go in for a kiss when there's not that thing. He just doesn't know how to get that thing going. That's Higgy game. Okay? That's Higgy game. That's BLT mojo. Okay? Is the lack, they have a what do you call it? Sexual chemistry deficiency. They just can't. Like, that's what happens with me with math problems. I get it. It's a perfectly understandable thing. It's not a big deal, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't do math, bro. You know? Like, I can't do math. It's that simple. You know? It doesn't fucking happen up here. You know? It doesn't fucking happen. Ever. You know? But this thing, that happens. That's a very easy thing. I'm in sync with that. I get it. And for some dudes, there's no doing that. You're never gonna get that. It starts to spin real fast, and then it draws the two of you close together. If you can't achieve that, yeah. And it's a shame. It's a shame. Like, I'm telling you, BLT, dude, once he just shaves his head, once he shaves his head, that shit is just gonna be like that. That's when you know, when he just goes full bald and goes, fuck it, man. You're gonna be like, oh shit, there he is. There he is. Let's see. I'm telling you, it'll be a different. It'll be like when what's his face? Remember when Urkel became what the fuck was his name? I was not a Family Matters guy at all. I was never an Urkel fan. But Stefan, remember when he became Stefan? I've seen that episode a couple times. He became Stefan, right? That's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen with BLT one day. I'm hoping. I hope that for him. I really do. I believe that shit is gonna happen. He's gonna become Stefan one day. He's just gonna it's just, he's gonna fucking he's gonna throw the toupee away and he's just gonna fucking take the clippers and then he's gonna put on a fucking leather jacket or something and just be like, what's up? And then like I'm trying to tell you, dude, it's gonna happen, bro. I believe in him. It's gonna fucking happen. It's gonna be amazing. The big reveal. Okay. Remember Grease 2? Remember when everybody found out that fucking the Australian guy was the cool writer? Remember that shit? Remember that moment? BLT's gonna have that moment, bro. Oh my God. What was his name in that movie? What was the character's name? Fuck. What was his name, dude? That's gonna drive me. Michael! Oh my God, it's Michael! Oh my God, it's Michael! I need a cool rider. If it's cool enough, he can burn me through and through. Fuck yeah, bro. BLT, if it takes forever. That's just gonna happen for my man, bro. Just wait. This is gonna be his Valentine's. Watch. It's gonna be his Valentine's. Amy McCabe, I bet you $20 BLT shaves his head. No, doesn't. He wears a rug. Anyway. A few days later, Karen was planning a trip to Boston with a friend. Brian stated that that on her way back from the city, Brian invited Karen to, okay, I already read that, blah, 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 blah. Brian further assured me that he did not have any relations with anyone else at the waterfall the night of January 28th. No shit. And to the best of his knowledge, Karen never did either, except for her boyfriend. Brian went on to say that the next time he and Karen texted was when she reached out on January 29th, 2022, and stated John died at 11:54 a.m. I wonder. Of course, there's no follow-up as to, did you respond to her? Why didn't you respond to her? There's nothing here about that, right? There's no statement from Bukakei where he says, I mean, maybe he does here in part 14 here. At this point, I advise Brian that it is imperative that all of the data which he is providing is accurate and not altered in any way. I further told Brian that we have both John and Karen's devices and would be corroborating his provided data. Brian understood the magnitude of his actions and assured me that all the data is complete and accurate without having additional information to provide. Trooper Proctor collected Brian's printed text message conversations with both John and Karen, which he printed from the phone extraction he performed on his device. Additionally, Trooper Proctor collected the disks containing the digital phone data of the text message conversation, and we both thanked him for his cooperation as well as his and attorney Donatelli's time prior to leaving. So what this is just a whole, like, that's a fluff. Like, this is Bukakei fluffing Higgins and going, we're going to make you look good. Don't worry, dude. We're going to make you look real good. Because he says, okay, he had a text message relation, like in the same report. Bukakei puts out the fact that Karen and Higgins had a romantic connection. They were flirting. At one point, she showed up to his house and he couldn't seal the deal because he didn't have this. Right? So he couldn't do it. It didn't happen. But there was definitely a connection between them. He leaves out the fact that he texted her, well, that's not in the report. He leaves out that. But he includes the fact that Karen says the morning of John's death, John died. But Bukakei never asks him, did you respond? You didn't respond? Why didn't you respond? Why isn't it in the report? Higgins' reason for not responding to Karen Reed, somebody who he was romantically involved with, and was in communication with that night. Why isn't this being asked? Why isn't Bukakei questioning him more based on what the information that he's gathering? Why is he more focused on showing that there's no reason to be looking over here at Higgins? Don't look over here. Is basically the vibe of this entire interview. Thank you. I am that bitch, that one bitch. No wrong number called from butt dial, but butt dial, huh? Well, I mean, it wasn't a fucking dial. It wasn't a rotary phone or a fucking cordless fucking phone with an antenna that was stuck at his ass during sex. Like, I'm sure their numbers were logged in and it was like recent calls and then you just call the last call or whatever. Like, you didn't have to actually dial a number with a cell phone. You know what I mean? I am that one bitch. He wasn't butt dialing. You know, his ass hairs weren't like turning the rotary going. That wasn't happening with Brian Albert's ass. 58A, Cunty Friday, everyone. I see you like my thumbnail from yesterday. Bizarre Biatch. You on 2-speed tonight doing Cool Rider is the best. Fuck yeah, bro. That's my shit, dude. Dude, I've seen Grease 2 so many fucking times. In my opinion, it is the superior of the franchise. Yeah, dude. Michelle Pfeiffer. I don't want to say that she's hotter than Olivia Newton-John, though. Like, Olivia Newton-John was gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. Stunning. Unbelievable talent. I listen to Olivia Newton-John songs when I work out. And no, not Let's Get Physical. That's too goddamn cliche. All right? I don't listen to that one. It's just played out. Okay? Make a Move on Me. That's my shit. And your eyes. Who invites a woman over their house to have a talk about the status of their awkward non-relationship? Aiden goes on to say. They couldn't do that over the phone. I mean, right. Like, they couldn't do that over the phone. Like, we can't talk about how fucking weird this shit is. Or perhaps if they did have some sort of relationship, he knew that this would make investigators immediately look at him as a potential suspect. Of course he would, because he's a fucking cop. Also, why did Bukakei ask Higgins if he had a threesome? Why did Bukakei ask Higgins if he had a threesome with Karen and John? Is that how he? Okay. I guess you could determine that. Yeah, here. Never engaged in any intimate activity. Brian stated Karen came over and the two talked, but never engaged in any intimate activity. But hold on. And then it says, Brian further assured me that he did not have any relationships with anyone else at Waterfall the night of January 28th. And to the best of his knowledge, Karen never did either. Why would he know that? Like, first of all, we know he wasn't having any relationships. Like, we're talking about Higgy here. He's not getting late. And so, yeah, Brian further assured me, this is Bukakei saying, Brian further assured me that he did not have any relations with anyone else at the waterfall the night of the January 28th. And to the best of his knowledge, Karen never did either. That's okay. I guess Aiden's taking that like he asked if they had a three-way. Maybe I'm missing something. I'm probably missing something. But it's funny. Guess what? He never got questioned by Bukakei. Why he texted Karen Reed. Well, exactly. Thank you, Aiden. At 11:30, while she was just feet away from him, standing next to her boyfriend. But then again, it was February 3rd, 2022, and Karen Reed had already been arrested. There was nothing left for them to investigate. Exactly. They got their person. That's it. They were merely collecting evidence that would somehow implicate Karen Reed. That's all they were looking for. Dude, I'm going to start hiding people that start talking about fucking swingers in here, dude. I don't know how many times I got to tell you. Nobody's fucking these people. Okay? Nobody is fucking these people. Stop it. Glare reread. Which part do I reread? Which part do I reread? I'll read it again. I'll read the part again. I'm not reading the whole article again, but before the part I just read. Okay. Hold on. You guys are awesome. Give me a second. You know I love you. All right. All right, so a few days later, Karen was planning a trip to Boston with a friend. Brian stated that on her way back from the city, Brian invited Karen over to his home at in West Roxbury in order to discuss their future and get a better understanding of what exactly Karen wanted from the relationship. Brian stated that Karen came over and the two talked for a period of time and never engaged in any intimate activity. I followed up by confirming that Brian never had sexual. So, oh, there it is. Okay, thank you. I appreciate. This is why I love you guys. Followed up by confirming that Brian never had sexual relations with Karen, John, or the two of them together. That is fucking weird. Okay, so you weren't involved in some weird sex thing. I mean, I guess that's just good police work, right? But that's not good police work because that is surrounded by a whole bunch of bad police work. So at the end of the day, that's just a weird fucking question. You know what I mean? That is a weird motherfucking question. So, yeah, great point, Aiden. Sorry I missed that. How did I miss that? What's up, Erica? It's good to see you. Yeah, how the fuck did I miss that? I have no idea how I missed that. But nice catch, Aiden. This is why he's Turtleboy. It's a town snafu, bro. Dude, I'm trying to tell y'all, nobody's fucking these people, bro. Okay? Like, maybe there are swingers in Canton. I'm sure there's swingers fucking everywhere. And maybe Canton is even a swinger town. But I'm trying to tell you that nobody's fucking the McAlberts. They're not in that shit. Nobody's fucking the McAlberts, bro. Like, nobody's fucking Jill Daniels. Nobody's fucking Coco. Nobody's fucking any of these people. Like, I've seen swinger scenes and I've known swingers. And yes, I know. I'm not saying that every swinger scene is like a fucking porn movie where everybody is fucking all the women are shaped like hourglasses and they're all super hot and the dudes fucking have fucking ripped six packs and huge dongs. I'm not saying that that's what swinger scenes are like. I know that they're quite, and at times, the opposite. I'm saying there's at least a mix, okay? This is the greater Boston area. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's, come on. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I don't know, man. I feel like there's better pickings in the swinger scene in Boston than what's going on in Canton. Like, nobody's moving to Canton and going, this is a great swinger scene, and then going, walking to a fucking key party and then seeing fucking Coco and Carrie Roberts going at it. Like, yikes. You know what I'm saying? Like, my keys are staying in my pocket, bro. My keys are staying in my pocket, and I'm going right back out. No fucking way. It's just not happening. Just Jill Daniels and Carrie Roberts just fucking, hey, does this feel good? No! No!
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck? No. Wait.
Okay, people, that's it for me. I'm going to wrap this up. Aiden, Turtleboy is going to go live in about 3 minutes, it looks like. So head on over there. And guys, I don't know when the next petty stream. I got a little petty on this one, didn't I? I got a little, you non-members got a little taste of my petty. But yeah, I will see you guys over there. You guys are absolutely fantastic. Remember, it only takes a second to stay safe. I love you guys very, very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends.
Watch out!
Today, being retarded means leading a full life. Retarded people go to work or school just like their neighbors and come back to a real home, a supervised home, right in the neighborhood where they belong. Being retarded never stopped anyone from being a good neighbor.